Okay, Retro-Tekers, so what we have here is an NVIDIA GeForce GTX680. Now this is going to be for the Mac Pro. If you've watched my other videos, you'll have seen the video where we purchased this one up. This has come, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the top cover off. We'll see if there's any debris in the heatsink. If we feel that it needs to be, we will strip it down and remove the heatsink itself and replace the heatsink, the thermal paste even, sorry, between the heatsink, and there might be some thermal pads that we can replace with a special thermal pad replacement paste that I've got called K5 Pro. So I've never pulled one of these apart before, so we'll just take it steady together and I'm sure we'll get there. So this case, let's have a look at this. So I reckon that is going to be these screws here. Perhaps. Or do we think not? Let's have a look at this one. Yes, okay. So we've got 1, 2. This will be a nice easy removal if it is just this. 3rd one here. This one doesn't seem to want to come out. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So roll the back. Looks like there's none, but it looks like there's another one, another 3 here. Okay, now I imagine that's not going to come off because that one, stubborn one at the front there, this bad boy here doesn't want to come out, she's just spinning. So what we will do is we're going to have to get something to give it a little bit of leverage just behind the screw itself. We don't want much, so let's see if we can't get that down behind the screw. That's it. Okay. Fantastic. Well, that was easy enough. I don't know why. We'll have to have a look at why that one was spinning. Perhaps someone's tightened it too much before in the past. Let's remove that. Okay. Oh, right. She's a bit dusty. Fan looks okay, but if you have a look, I don't know if you guys can see that. I should hope you can. Around here, there's a fair bit of dust build up in there. So, what we can do now is, I would have thought that if we turn over to the bottom, it should be as easy as removing those 4 screws and dropping that off. Could be wrong, but let's give it a go. I don't think you'd have to take, I don't know why they'd make it so you had to take the whole shroud off to remove the heatsink. That seems a bit counterproductive. It's exactly the same screws as the Quadro we did a few weeks back. I think my warranty's void now. Well, given that this car is from 2012, I'm not sure that anyone's going to mind that. Okay, so that's those 4 done. Ah, lovely jubbly. Okay, so yeah, that's nicely done. Somebody's had this apart before, and I'll tell you how I know that, people. First of all, Exhibit A. Let me get me pointing stick. Make sure it's plastic. Exhibit A, there is white thermal paste around the edge. Exhibit B, the new thermal paste, is not going round to where the original one would have gone. You can see where the original one would have been. It almost looks like somebody at some point has used that really horrible liquid metal crap. And I say that because I really don't like that stuff. I mean, this stuff that's on there just, well, it looks like grease. It doesn't look like anything I've ever seen before. Well, you know what, folks? I'm really glad we've done this now. It's always better when you pull something apart and you think, you know, that looks all right. It's always a bit downheartening, I always find. When I pull something apart and think, that looks like an absolute mess, I'm always a lot happier that I've done it. Right, we're going to have to clean that up with a bit of the old lighter fluid, I think. So at least we know when we've done this that it's done. That's the main thing. We know that it's clean and that hopefully we'll get a good few years use out of it. It's not the most powerfulest card in the world, but the good thing about this card is that it is the last one that had a user flashable BIOS so that you could put the EFI boot on for Macs. 680 was the last one that had that, so they're actually fairly expensive for that particular reason. Plus, they have got metal support for the newer OSs, Mac OSs, like Mojave and Catalina and Big Sur. They moved from, I think it was OpenGL before, to what is now metal, and so a lot of the older graphic cards are useless for that. Unless I think you can use the patches, the OS patches, with people like DOS Dude, and I think they will work okay. Let's have a look at that. Do we think that's clean enough? I wonder whether there would be any thermal paste underneath here that goes to the memory chips at all. It's a possibility, but I don't think anybody would have gone that far with this board. I really don't think they would. So we'll just concentrate on this for now. Okay, so that's that cleaned up. So now let's oh, it's horrid. Definitely, whoever's done this before has done such a rubbish job, because you can see that the original thermal paste is still there. You know, if you're going to do it properly, or don't bother at all. Get some of that on to loosen it up. See, it does come off if you use the right stuff. Looks like whatever they've used before, whether it was that liquid metal or not, it's like it may have eaten into the copper slightly. There's definitely some heavier pitting in the centre. Okay. Right, now what we'll do is we'll do a nice little time lapse of hoovering out the card with the anti-static brushes, so that we can remove all of the dust, especially from around the heatsink, and then we will put all of this back together. I am sorely tempted to pull this up. What are we talking? There's a fair few screws. Do you know what? Do you know what? Let's do it. Make sure we've got the right tools. small. Must be a T6. Must be a T6. No point coming all this way, is there, and then backing out because we don't know what's there. If we pull it off and it's thermal pads, I've got some thermal pads. I've got some replacement for it as well, so we can sort out whatever it throws at us. There's a lot of screws. That's one thing I will say. Whoever put this in, I imagine it must have something under there that it's compressing, because you wouldn't have all these screws otherwise. Like I say, I've never pulled one of these apart before as well, so I'm as curious as you lot will probably be curious to see what's physically here. On laptop ones, I've done laptop ones a lot, and they usually have the cooling over the RAM chips as well, and obviously we can't see the RAM chips, so they must be below. And we already know that somebody's been in here before, so it would be a crime for us not to see what's underneath here, because the chances are somebody could have been in and bodged it up. And so it's our job then to sort out that mess. Now it looks like there's a Phillips here that's been mashed. That is removing. Okay, so let's put that there. And then I think there's two more Phillips there that have to come out. One, two, and I believe that should freed up that plate. Let's just double check that we've got all of the screws out. By the look of it, we have. Let's turn it over. Have we missed something? There is a little Phillips by the fan. But that just removes that and this little plate. That's it. Oh yeah. Okay guys, just remove this fan. Okay. So as we can see under here, we've got these thermal pads which go onto these little VRMs there, then we go onto the RAM chips, and all of these have seen, well, they're just rubbish, aren't they? Now, so we'll clean all this off. Can be hopefully removed in one piece. Ugh. Nasty stuff, bin it. We're going to replace this with K5 Pro, which is a thermal pad replacement. Nice, easy to use as well. I'll get rid of all of this horrid stuff. There's those 4 that are also cooled there. So we've got those 4 to do, all of these to do, those and those. Okay, what I'll do is I'll time lapse that bit, because otherwise we'll be here forever, won't we? So let's just clean that up. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this into a time lapse. We're going to clean all this off. We're going to put the K5 Pro onto where it needs to be, and then we'll get that all put back together. K5 Pro is that stuff there. It's a thick, viscous thermal pad replacement. Right, let's get this into a time lapse. Okay, so that's the K5 Pro put on there. So we've got that on all the places where the old thermal pads were. So this stuff basically is what is used in Macs. So it's used in the iMacs. Instead of thermal paste, they have that stuff on. Let's see. We'll clean that bit off there. That obviously was not needed. Let's get that up. It's fairly easy to remove anyway. Good stuff. Good thing about this stuff is it is completely safe to use on the circuit boards. It's not metallic. It's not conductive. So let's clean that bit off there. Okie dokie. Now the fan. We'll plug the fan back in a minute. What we'll do is let's spin it over and get some of these screws back in. So to make sure that we get the correct Torx bit, we were on a Torx 6, weren't we? If I knew where I put it, there it is. So we'll just start screwing these back in. So yeah, they used that stuff on the iMacs for the graphics cards. It took me a while to find it because I pulled an iMac apart, obviously pulled all the grease stuff off, and I thought, well, what on earth is this? Found out that it was similar to this K5 Pro. It's not identical, but this K5 Pro is much more efficient than the thermal pad. And I know it looks a mess while it's going on the board, but once it's actually got hot, it cures a bit like silicon, so that when you actually remove it, it just pulls off the board in a strip. So yes, I imagine it does look messy, and it was messy putting it on. It's a lot more tricky than using a thermal pad, but it's better. So you don't get without putting something in, do you? That's what you learn. No pain, no gain. So glad we've done that now. Wasn't going to pull it apart, didn't think it was necessary, but now we've done it. Those thermal pads looked a little bit worse for wear. They looked like they were just getting a bit old, to be honest. I don't think they were bad as such, but now we know that this has been fully stripped and cleaned. We should get a good few years service out of it. Come on, you. Hopefully, anyway. Keep those memory chips nice and cool, eh? One there, then it's the 3 Phillips screws that go one there and then 2 at the front, and then we can get the old heatsink back on, strip that down, get the top cover back on, and we're home and dry. We're there, we've done it. PH0, PH1 for these. The messed up one, which was that one. Was here. Okay. And the other two. Were here. Not a bad job. I enjoy doing stuff like this. Sit down, relax, take your time. There's definitely no rush with anything like this, is there? You know, I've not got a rush to get it done. I need to get it done so I can get this video out, but I've got no major rush to get it done. That's all that back up there. That cable down. Line that back up. Get the old Philips PH1 on there. I'll get that screw back in. That's just a little perspex plate that covers the cable so that the fan doesn't catch the cable. Back in. Then let's tuck this cable down there out of the way. That's where it was. Okay, so that's that done. Now then, I'll do another time lapse now of cleaning all this up, getting all the dust out of there, because it's fairly blocked, and then we'll put some thermal paste on there, get this back down, and then we're done. Okay, so that's all nice and cleaned up now. I'll just give this one more blob and a wipe off with some kitchen roll. Okay, so that's ready. Let's get the card back. Make sure that that's got no more rubbish on it. Clean. Okay, there we are. Get the old MX5 on there. Nice blob. About the size of a pea. Come on. That's it. About the size of a bird's eye pea. Other brands are available. Okie dokie. So that now should go on there. If we spin this around, we can see the 4 mounting holes. Good, good, good. Let's get the first screw. She's going in. Yep, she is. second screw. Okay, now we've got the 2 screws in, we can put it on and get these other 4 or 2 in. That one. That one. Well, fan looks fairly clean. Just okay. So now we just need to get the cover over the top, which is down here. I'll give this a little bit of a quick brush up. Over the top, and then we can get that all back in. For a slightly bigger Phillips head, I don't want to mangle the screws. Better. So they are a pH1, not a pH0. Cross thread it. And then the awkward one. That just flew in, no problem at all. Okay, there we are, all done. Give the top of a card a bit of a wipe, a bit of that on. Just remove any fingerprints. There we are, all done. Let's just wipe, Well, I hope you've enjoyed this other video of doing this, stripping it. A bit more involved than the Quadro card, but please have a look at that video nonetheless. It's still a good video to watch. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been interesting. Please like and subscribe. And that is about all of the time I've got today. So I shall see you next time in the next video. Bye for now.